you have thoughts about where joy comes from?
No.
Really big?
No, I think it comes from the most of mundane places. It comes from anywhere. If you're keen enough, you can see it. The places the places you don't look at.
It's the thing that's holding it all together, and it's the thing at the bottom that's like heavy and able to carry everything. And I really like that analogy because it gives me this sense that joy it's not an emotion, it's not a feeling as much as it's the thing that can carry you through the different seasons of your life. The expectation is for us to show up in life a certain way, like a certain
Especially
way.
people who have God on their side.
People who have God on their side, because you know how it ends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the reality of today is that we've lost our friend, and we are sad. We are sad, but it's almost, it felt like there's no permission for me to enter into the grief of this loss.
Yeah.
It's like, but if the artist is Uko happy, why are you crying? And
there's like, you're just 3 degrees.
What is your problem? What is your problem? Get it together, because we'll meet her again.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I don't know if that is joy, and I don't know what that then does to our collective understanding even of pain.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, welcome to the ReImagine podcast. My name is Agi Olo and my co-hosts are
Vic Mnala
And Nashua Ruboro.
Thank you so much for joining us again. In this season, we are reimagining a number of things, and today we are reimagining joy. We'll start off as usual by a quote by our very own Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Finally. Anyway, Archbishop Desmond Tutu says this about joy. Discovering more joy does not save us from the inevitability of hardship and heartbreak. In fact, we may cry more easily, but we will laugh more easily too. Perhaps we are just more alive. Yet, as we discover joy, we can face suffering in a way that ennobles rather than embitters. We have hardship without becoming hard. We have heartbreaks without being broken. So wonderful.
That's why he's an archbishop.
Archbishop, that's what
archbishops do.
An archbishop. Discuss.
The thing about the quotes here, we never understand them.
It's like, do with them what you want.
Marble throw.
It's
a gift.
Joy.
Yeah.
We have heartbreaks
Without being broken. I don't know what he's talking about.
Already Desmond is poking a lot of holes into the understanding of, I don't even know what understanding of joy I have, but I have a feeling that he has already poked a lot of holes
Into whatever it is.
That, what do you mean it will not save me from the inevitability of life and the reality that it's not all rosy. What do you mean I'll be heartbroken without breaking? That was already is counterintuitive. So I'm trying to imagine how is that joy? How is that this thing? Because I think my understanding of joy has always been this feel good, walking on air kind of thing where sunshine. You're floating through, the ground as you walk, and all of that. It's almost this place where the reality of life doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
You are all smiles. You are all of those things.
Of good cheer.
Of good cheer. But then there is Desmond Tutu, who is here like, joy does not give me those, and it encompasses the heartbreaks of life without breaking us. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around that, yet it's not wrapped completely.
I think first is like as a podcast, I think we just need to switch these quotes. They need to come at the end. There's too much work trying to start here. You know what I mean?
In the beginning.
Yeah, but I think along with what Vicky is saying, I think for me it's also this idea of painting joy that makes us more human, as it were. Like if I think of it, because I think joy is always a part of like being human. So like you are happy or you are sad, you almost equivalent of you are joyous or you are not joyous kind of a thing. But I think as it paints it, it's like it's joy as this energizing factor that makes us more human. You know that. And if you're to wrestle even with that, you know, like to be human, I guess, is to face all these different things, you know. But to be fully human, to be more human, is to live our lives almost navigating those things while still maintaining a certain essence to us, you know what I mean? So then we can go through painful moments that we discover we can face suffering in a way that ennobles rather than embitters, you know. Like the goal, because also like even what you're saying is like, because if you're joyous, there was this underlying assumption that then you're not suffering, you know. If you're suffering, then almost like you're meant to be bitter, you know. But either it doesn't say like you can face suffering and be happy, for example. It says it ennobles, like it makes whatever that word means. But in my mind is that it still makes you noble, you know. You can have heartbreaks and yet you survive, you know what I mean? So it's almost like this energizing force that he's painting, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that really. That's not my understanding of joy, you know. For a start.
And I think that coming from Desmond, it's called him Desmond because we are like BFFs.
Your best friend.
That coming from Desmond, and then you imagine the kind of life he has lived and the struggles not only for himself, but for...
Was he in exile?
In the community.
Yeah, so
He
that
suffered a lot.
He suffered a lot for himself and for the community around him. That's not the kind of quote you'll expect to come from him. It's almost like he embraced all of this and called it all joy. It could have been a bitter quote about how the world is unfair, about how nothing works and how the systems have failed and all of these things, but he seems to hold both of those things. It's like it's both, and you can still have joy even in this.
There's this line that like even this idea for we may cry more easily but we will laugh more easily too. And I think one of the things that Desmond Tutu was known is like for his facility laughter. Like it's laughter from the heart, you know. And yet I had one of these interviews that he did, whatever old he was, you know, and he just was the most forthright person about how South Africa was doing, like, you know what I mean? So it's like his laughter wasn't an excuse from, and things are not like we haven't mastered democracy, like we just baby steps in South Africa, and there are all these issues that needs to like almost like both coexisted, you know what I mean? Like he could laugh. And not just even laugh at, let's laugh at the things that are going good. No, he's just like there's laughter, and we still are so far away from where we need to be as a country. You know, like almost like those two things existed together. Because I think then the other thing that I try to hear a lot is like almost like let's try to balance. You know, like the good and the bad. You know, if the good is a little bit more, then we are joyous. If the bad is a little more, we are embittered, whatever. But this idea that this exists here, good and bad, and underneath it is a joy that then propels them in some positive way. It sounds so lofty, honestly. Like it's too lofty to be a lived reality. if it wasn't if it wasn't a quote from Desmond Tutu,
Like,
who we know a
it's
little
true.
bit about
It's
you.
true.
Exactly.
It says
You know.
it's true.
Yeah, trust me.
The thing about joy. So this was not said by Desmond Tutu, but I think it's alluding to what he's saying is Rob Bell, our friend Rob, our BFF Rob,
Let's go with first name.
says that joy is a base note. It's a base note
Right.
theme, yeah. And when you think about, like, if we're talking about music, there's the high note, things like the piano can like play all these beautiful sweet melodies at this top note, but then when you listen to the bass line, it's the thing that's holding it all together, and it's the thing at the bottom that's like heavy and able to carry everything. And I really like that analogy because it gives me this sense that joy it's not an emotion, it's not a feeling as much as it's the thing that can carry you through the different seasons of your life. It's a very consistent thing. Like having joy, having more joy is almost like saying having more support in your life. It's like having more grounding in your life experiences. And that's not to say that the hardship doesn't come. It's not like that. The heartbreak doesn't come, as Desmond Tutu is saying.
It always comes.
Oh, by the way,
Guaranteed almost.
newsflash, it always comes. And it's not that the pain doesn't come, but it's that when it comes, there's still something about your existence that is to be cherished, that is to be held with, with sacredness, that is to be, So I think that's what I like about that tool. It's that it's all this, it's joy becoming a sustaining energy in our lives that still validates our existence, even when it feels like, why am I here? Am I here for the suffering? No.
So in a sense, you don't lose yourself and who you are in the pain of your life at that moment.
Yes.
Yes.
Or you don't allow the pain to rename who you are. And maybe that's what joy is.
And also that's like really fascinating when you say that joy as a bass note. Say like the bass note of our life.
Yeah, she started music analogies.
Yeah, that's why we got
And it just flew over the air.
Yeah, it was like for music, stay
lost
away. No, but in a very deep sense, I was just like, if joy is like the bass note, like this thing that we're talking of, like the sustaining, grounding force, then it means that then when we don't have joy, that something else replaces that and becomes our bass note. You know what I mean?
Because you have to have a bass note.
Yeah, because they have to have a bass note on which basis life is built on. And then the funny thing now with that though is that, I hope you have bumped into those people who, it doesn't matter again whether there is happy things, there are sad things. Literally, it almost doesn't matter what the circumstances are. They're just deeply sad or deeply bitter or deeply cynical. You know what I mean? Jaded, as it were. So like even when the sun is out after a long rainy season, they still find things to default and to hate all kind of a thing. And then when we meet those people, like we get that. Like it's not the circumstances that are forming them into cynical, whatever. Maybe something happened that made them to be cynical, but now something that was at once a thing that comprises the entirety of their life now has become like the base note of their life. You know what I mean? Now it's bitterness that rules, and almost like when you replace that, like then joy finds some essence, Cause like, I can think of those people just get out of here with your bitterness. You know what I mean? Like, sure, life is dark, but it's not like overwhelmingly dark. You know what I mean? But I think when that base note is not joy or any of those Christ-centric things, as it were, like you still exist.
Yeah,
you exist, but then like the fruit of your life is like a toxicity that we can't categorize to any one thing, So anyway, that idea of base note was like what triggered all that word.
So if it's it's a base note then of our lives and this thing that is holding us together, and it can be easily replaced by the other things in your life and all of that. So maybe the question comes, where does it come from? Does it come from anywhere? Does it?
Somewhere you go to get up.
Yeah, you
Like in Wakata, they have it in
Vibranium.
Wakata.
Energy.
Yeah, we need to go still.
Yeah, where do you get it? How does it morph? How does it impact how you see reality? And all of that. And it will be interesting to know if there is a place it comes from.
My mind has gone to we talked about this thing about faith a while ago, and the line was, faith is a way of seeing things, which was quite impactful. And I'm like, what if joy also is a way of seeing things? What if joy is also a way of seeing or knowing things or understanding life? When we were talking about this, Nash talked about this thing that struck me that maybe it's not something you generate, because then happiness and excitement, which are the other,
they mask joy.
They're all enmeshed together in our understanding of joy. Are things that can be generated. I can walk into a space feeling moody, and then something makes me happy. Something changes my mood, or there's excitement. My excitement can be elevated depending on what is happening around me. And maybe joy is not something that you create. Like you can't create it. You can't I don't know where it comes from, but I want to say, what if joy, so one, like that it's a way of seeing things, and because it's a way of seeing things, it exists as a gift, something that you just embrace. You're like, so there's life here, there's me, there's you, there's all of us here, and it's a gift. To be here is a gift.
And as you're saying, joy is a way of seeing things, then it means if we have this base note of joy, hopefully we can look at life with a bit more objectivity, even when discussing the reality of it, even when discussing the parts of it that don't make sense. So have this base note of joy, so you're not coming at it from a subjective point of view. Hopefully you can see it and like, yes, and you can actually name the different seasons of your life, and just like, this is a part of my life I am in a good place, this is a part of my life I am in a bad place, and all of them belong, all of them coexist in that space.
And also when you asked the question, like when we were doing the reimagining of Jesus, I remember seeing this idea that Jesus, part of why Jesus is so essential to me is like this empowering capacity of Jesus through the gift of the Holy Spirit for a start, and interceding with us and all those different things. But in a very loose sense, it's fascinating that when we bump into joy, say in scriptures, one of the preeminent place we find it is when this particular writer, Paul, says that joy is a fruit of the Spirit. Like the fruit of the Spirit is ABCD, and one of the reflections of that is joy, right? Which still touches on, again, saying like it's a fruit of something, like it's an overflow of abiding in a particular way of life, of being in deep connection with this Holy Spirit gift presence kind of a thing. That again, you can't generate it for yourself. It's almost like, let's use a more controversial. It's like it's something you get from aligning yourself, say, in the way the world is truly created to be. You know what I mean? And that's me now talking of, say, God as like the ground of being. Like there's this assumption that this assumption that we carry into life, that there is a creative energy, person, being that is energizing the entirety of the universe, as it were. And when we align ourselves with that being, And part of the fruit of that alignment is joy. You know what I mean? Which still goes back to like when you think about it through that lens, and then you think of someone like this Tutu, this short man who embodied and free and allowed so much joy to flow through him, even through the hardest of seasons, and to navigate an entire nation. It carries this sense of it was something that was happening in him, that was flowing in him, and also something that he was allowing to find place and grounding in him, you know. So maybe like this, maybe you don't generate it, maybe you make room for it. Same way that we make room for bitterness to form a root of it. You know what I mean?
You can.
Yeah. So you do have agency. Just because you can't generate it doesn't mean like throw your hands up. But it's something that comes maybe through as a fruit, not as an actual grabbing of the thing. Which makes it, that sounds a lot of English word, but it makes it so frustrating. You know what I mean? All these things should be something like you go and scoop up like Bambrinia.
I want 10 joys.
10
today.
joys, yeah.
Order 10 joys, please.
Yeah. You know.
I guess so for you guys, and we're talking about like joy. Where do you have thoughts about where joy comes from?
No.
Really big?
No, I think it comes from the most of mundane places. It comes from anywhere. If you're keen enough, you can see it. The places the places you don't look at anymore. You look around, despite how dark it might be. There's always something to laugh at.
Yeah.
There is always something to laugh at. So look, those moments, I don't know, they bring me joy in different seasons of my life. There's a story, and I think one of the places for me is Twitter. And
where you
That's
get joy?
joy.
That's your source.
yes, that's
Ooh.
my source of joy.
Who are you following?
Wow. Show us your ways.
So I remember this particular time.
Twitter embitters us.
So we go to get bitter.
Get bitterness.
Bitter. You see, you're looking at it wrong. But there's this time my mom was sick, and we took her to a hospital in the middle of the night. And if you've gone to public hospital, it can be a mess. Somehow that day things don't work. Or the X-ray machine, or the beds are not there, or everything like in that moment. And then you're dealing with this anxiety. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what can happen. So your mind is all over the places. So I'm there in the waiting room, and it's a lot of waiting, and it's a lot of waiting.
In the waiting.
So there, what can you do on Twitter? And Twitter people are funny. And I'm in a waiting room dealing with all these things behind the scenes in my brain, but I'm laughing like loudly. Like it almost feels illegal to laugh, but you can't just escape it. So in the most of the mundane places, maybe in the most inappropriate places, maybe joy is there, staring at you, waiting for you to laugh.
I can totally see you doing that. But I think that's like really, really, like it's really affirming even what we are saying, because it's like in moments when it feels like only your pain and only your anxiety exists, there's a way to access something that reminds you that there's more to life than just this thing that's like, because I guess pain and heartbreak and whatever cynicism and bitterness, how it sucks you in is that it draws you in to focus on just it and to feel like this is all that is there. Only the darkness, only the it's very, I don't know, it's like what's that? The thing. It's like
it narrows your focus.
To just this thing. And I guess the beauty about joy is that it's like if you are looking at your situations like this, it's like joy is like just lift your head. Almost. It's just like just chin up just a bit. maybe you'll see something that will remind you that, oh, there's actually more. There's actually more than what you are seeing and focusing on, and maybe that's it's beautiful.
Yeah, and even that, I'm like the mundanity, the ordinariness of joy, right? It's still like this powerful reminder that we are not on our own, like in this world, like in our pain, in our whatever. We are not alone, like we are
God with us.
God with us, literally, you know. And also we are like I don't know who that is who say like we are richly graced, you know, like we have grace enfolding us and surrounding us and all those kind of things. And the biggest thing then becomes the whole question of opening our eyes, as it were. And to also add in that context, like joy for it to be joy, because then we confuse it, like you said, with excitement and happiness. It's not an escape from, like, say, your at the hospital, right?
My mom was still sick.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you still get to be in
and the things are still like churning at the back of your mind. You know what I mean? So it's not like joy is not a quick escape from this. Joy is actually both. I was just highlighting this idea. It's both a lifting up of our heads and also an entering deeply into sometimes actually the pain itself. You know what I mean? Like it's going to not be found elsewhere. It's actually going to be found sometimes more in here. And that's the paradoxicness of it, you know.
How do we? I mean, because we so there's this concept of toxic positivity or whatever and all of that. It feels almost like, especially to the pastor, especially in churches and communities of faith, that having joy, is showing up to grief with a smile on your face. I will never forget this day. I went to the funeral of a classmate of mine in high school, and I think it was an aunt of theirs or something, who stood up with like joy and said something about Christianity, something about I don't remember what they said, but it was like she can laugh even now because
those ones who don't have hope.
But not just dire things like those, but also just life in general. Like in general, we are still, the expectation is for us to show up in life a certain way, like a certain
Especially
way.
people who have God on their side.
People who have God on their side, because you know how it ends. And I'm like, but the reality of today is that we've lost our friend, and we are sad. We are sad, but it's almost, it felt like there's no permission for me to enter into the grief of this loss. It's like, but if the auntie is Hugo happy, why are you crying?
And there's like, you're just 3 degrees.
What is your problem? What is your problem? Get it together, because we'll meet her again. And I don't know how I don't know if that is joy, and I don't know what that then does to our collective understanding even of pain. In those two. Anyway, I don't know.
That's a question.
Mchungaji.
Oh my God.
Help us understand what is happening. Because it feels like, honestly, our pain quickly gets invalidated. Quickly, like very quickly, because there's a really nice scripture to assuage it. There's a really nice tidbit that was formed a long time ago to be told to you, so that you just instantly feel better and you're like, okay, I will not cry, or okay, I will not be in this grief for long, or okay, I need to move on because God has said ABCD. Like genuinely, there's no permission to enter into, and the justification is that there's joy. Like there's joy in the Lord.
We are celebrating.
I don't understand.
Celebrating. Yeah, like I mean, like that. Whoa, how much time do you have?
11 minutes.
Like the whole concept of that. No, but I think like that's along the line. Either psychologists or whoever came with very, very helpful concept. I think it should be taught everywhere, of spiritual bypassing, right? Which is this idea that you use. I don't know. It's the idea. This is not like classical definition, but just the idea that you can use spirituality to bypass pain as compared to drilling into more pain, you know. And the tragedy of that is I feel like the tragedy of that is because we, like you said, it's because we carry a modicum of understanding what comes out of it, you know. So then it's like, you know, like a cheat sheet. Like if you know, like almost like the outcome, like you're going to get an A in this exam, regardless of, do you then study or do you just, oh, the A is coming, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's something we do with like a lot of spirituality, which is why I still back to this quote. It's amazing that it came from this particular person, Desmond Tutu, because like even watching him like leading the South African Truth and Justice Commission, it wasn't like let's pretend that this didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even in the moments of like, oh, just forgive the people. No, it was like brutal, challenging experience. You know, so I think that's one of the things. There is actually such a toxic thing as spiritual bypassing. And it's important to name that when people are using that and pretending it to be for whatever other things, you know. So that's, I think that's a problem. I think, but then I think it's rooted essentially in our in the fact that as human beings we are very uncomfortable generally with the negative emotions. We just want to run, you know. So yeah, so sure, the Christians or the spiritual people do spiritual bypassing. The rest of the people, we just drink and dump ourselves. You know what I mean?
We party.
Yeah, and a lot of partying, you're like, wait, what are you trying to run away from?
What is going on?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then again, it's a party, and a party is supposed to be restful and joy-filled and all this. But a lot of our partying is still a form of escaping.
Yeah.
And like wait, that's numbing what you're doing, you know. So it's just not like the Christians who miss it out. It's also like even the people who don't claim to be Christians. And I think it points to this deep struggle for we just don't know what to do with our heart, you know. Which is then why I think the thing, like even what we're talking about joy, is so helpful. Because maybe what we're trying to say is, in those moments when it's spiritual bypassing or just this numbing, is that we are desperate for something beneath the pain to energize us to life.
Yes.
Basically,
Yes.
this is what this idea
That's
we
what
are
you're
calling.
looking for.
That's what we're really longing for. Which is then, I guess, this thing that we are calling joy. You know. So yeah, and I think like just another last brief comment to that is like also there's a confession that joy is a thing that happens away from pain. Which is why we go back to Vic's example in the hospital. Like even if like this is being mediated by Twitter, it is not Vic like shutting down the box that has the hospital and all these things. Like this is actually existing here and now. And I think we really struggle with that. So for us to equate joy because we call it like positive vibes or whatever it is, then there has to then is of necessity there has to be also lack of suffering there. You know. So then this concept that we are reimagining is a joy that is a thing that undergirds and infuses even suffering. You know. So that's a lot of English words.
That's a lot.
I think part of another looking at it is, I think we are a people that are looking for easy answers to complex questions.
Yes.
So an easy answer is God is in control.
Yeah.
But that does not speak to this moment.
I don't feel like anyone is in control. This thing is running on its own.
Or even worse, if that was true, then like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, is that, does it also equal the fact that he participated in actually creating this?
So he's in control. So he's doing this.
Yeah, like he did this kind of a thing.
Yeah. So it's that thing where the easy answers make us a bit more comfortable, make us feel like we are in control of the situation, when maybe in those moments we need to lose that control completely and sit with the complex questions that Richard Ross says, maybe sometimes we'll never get the answers to this.
Maybe the aim is not to even
get the aim is to never get the answers to some of these questions. So the moment we learn to be comfortable with the complex questions of life and making peace with we might never get the answers, maybe that's the beginning, maybe that's the root of joy.
Yeah, and also even just what you were saying, because I think that's like powerful. even maybe in seeking answers, we are looking for the wrong thing. Maybe back to what we were saying, those complex, hard questions and hard life situations, maybe they invite us to look for something else within the complexity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To look for joy as compared to answers. Because I think implicit into that idea of looking for answers is that if I got the answers, then I'll be joyous, or at least I'll solve this thing, you know. But I think the radical thing that we're proposing is that which you're deeply, deeply seeking, even in seeking of the answers, is actually can be found here and now without the answers, you know. And it doesn't soften things. Back to Desmond Tutu, maybe you just maybe the outcome of that is you just cry more easily. But it's still crying, you know what I mean? The goal is to not cry. I'm a dude.
The aim is to not cry. I think I like the idea that, you know, sometimes, so what you were talking about, like joy is present, it's available, and it's accessible, you just need to look. It's also naming what joy is. Especially in the, I guess it's easy to name it when it's like when everything is easy, and I guess that's why we are actually like honing into the painful parts of life. But when I think about like when I lost my grandma, I think one of the things that for me was joy was being accompanied by my friends, just knowing that my friends are there. They're, you know, they're there with me in my pain, which means I have permission to go as deep as I want to go. They're gonna be there, and that for whatever reason becomes the grace of that season, and I would say also the joy of that season, that I am not walking alone, and in a very tangible way. So I feel like one of the ways that we can even begin to shift this understanding of joy is also renaming what joy is. Say, like being accompanied in the midst of pain is a joy. Where everything else is pointing towards despair, everything else is pointing towards like helplessness, that there's people around me who are rooting for me to come on the other side is a joy. Am I laughing? Probably not. But I'm being sustained, I'm being carried by these people who are accompanying me. Which is to point you back to our episode on reimagining community. So that you have those kind of people carry you. For sure. Like, and also still building on that idea of being accompanied, and also like misunderstanding of joy. I mean, like we were talking earlier, we also have to be deeply honest of how our misunderstanding of joy into this positivity, happy thing ends up burdening our brothers and sisters within our communities who are given more to cheerfulness. You know what I mean? Like the butterflies in our communities. It's true. Because we misunderstand what joy. Literally, it's like for. Thank you. I'm just making a case for you. And I'm also climbing down from your back. Get down. But in a very real sense, it's like and it's like the whole stories of all these comedians who secretly are depressed and then they end up committing suicide. But it's partially because they are coming up in a community and society that doesn't give them room to even also enter into their pain for a start. Also, we don't give them room to do that but you're carriers of our joy. We need you to give us joy. Like make us happy, sing us whatever the thing is. So like the whole week that we place on the people amongst us who very well are also gifted with cheering us up. But then when we outsource all our need for joy, when we turn those people into our sources of joy, it ends up invalidating their humanity in very real sense to tragic experiences. But more importantly, if you're like one of those people who just have this dear friend who is just like the life of the party, honestly, you could start like a tangible step is
turning that person into a source of joy. Like allow them room to also be, you know. So it's again, like we have used this word in our podcast so often, like as we do our different work, including the butterfly here. As we do our different work, as a matter of fact, like this whole series of reimagining, as we reimagine, say, hopefully collectively, one can only hope. As we imagine collectively, then also what we are doing is we are asking less of one another and giving one another permission to be more human, you know, as compared to going around burdening everyone else with what should be ideally our responsibility.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that.
Someone who has been carrying the weight.
The weight of everybody
How do you feel about
on
it?
our backs every day, making you happy, bringing the cheer, bringing the life. It's a lot. But I think that's true, and it's no wonder that we are so surprised when these people commit suicide. We're like, our instant reaction is, but you don't get to, you don't get to be the person who struggles like that. You are our
our joy.
You are our joy. I think that's such an thank you for saying that. I think it's so important to how it dehumanizes the people. I stopped being a carrier of joy some time ago. For some reason.
That's why I've been looking for different people.
Yeah. I still have tidbits, but not as much as I used to before. But I see all the people. I have had actually. This is funny. I've had a conversation with like a close friend of mine where they invited me to. If they're watching this, they will know. But it's okay. To a place, and then checked out. Mentally checked out and on their phone, and now I have to be in this hosting situation with your friend. Are you serious?
I'm like, I brought joy.
I brought the joy. Now y'all enjoy me as I check out.
I'm on my phone.
I'm sorry. I love you, but it's something that's important to name, because those amongst us that then carry this, let me just call it, high energy about life, then get to be the only ones with the responsibility to show up like that, and to show up to spaces, and it's a lot. So I guess going back to doing the work, let's each of us do the work that allows you to again be the person who is able to show up, not necessarily to show up like as a joyful, happy, upbeat person. We just need you to be present. I guess that's it. Just be present, and I guess also to the other extension to that is that not all interactions need
joy.
Yeah. Sometimes you can just see it. Because I guess it's also how we bypass our situation, our everything. It's like when the moment is awkward and the moment is like really feeling a certain kind of way, then that person, whoever your social butterfly person is, will feel the responsibility to fill that space with something, because we are all uncomfortable with it. So I guess for us, it's just to allow those moments to be. Let's just be
no pressure
in this. No one is talking to each other. Everyone is feeling some type of way, kind of thing. It's okay. We'll find our way. We'll find our way back. That's the beauty of being human. We're also resilient in a way. We'll find our way.
But also, and even that, it's not, just to correct that, like not all movements require a high and a happy and excitement. Because like all movements need joy to the degree of what we are reimagining joy to be. Like this energy that is energizing all of us, right? So then, because if joy is actually energizing all of us, it doesn't mean, back to Desmond, that we show up happy. This means when it's a moment for crying, we'll be energized to actually cry. And that's what that movement's about.
Will we be though?
That's why I say like it's a deal. We can always hope. With the help of God,
God helping us.
So that no one feels the need to like escape and entertain and take away from this moment, because we're feeling all that, because again, underneath what we are starting underneath our base note, whatever we are standing on as a base note, is inadequate. And I think joy is the thing that says, imagine it's okay. You can be in a hospital and you can laugh. And also you can be in a wedding and cry. You don't cry like, but you don't cry like someone died.
You cry like the sweet tears.
It depends on who you are. So you're free to cry. You can be in a wedding and cry. You can be in a birthday party and cry. You know what I mean? It's not one or it's just fascinating how we either all those things.
Yeah.
Whereas the moments that deeply move me are actually could be equated with they are the happy moment. If something is truly joy filled, I am moved to tears. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's the thing. And I think almost like at the end is like to also say, like when you hear like the term joy, again it's also human. We've been so cultured to either equate it with happiness or cheerfulness. So it's very easy to dismiss. It's very easy to even dismiss this whole podcast, right? Except for that other line in the scripture, that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And you're like, it has a way. I'm just trying to say, like, it's easy to trivialize joy, especially the unhappy people. It's like such a waste, right? But even in the scriptures itself, there's like this other re-understanding of joy as this thing can literally be your strength. It's the joy of the Lord. The joy of the Lord, but still the joy. Not is like the joy of the devil, but the joy. No, it's true. Right? I'm genuinely convinced it's a fruit of the spirit. There's no multiple spirits out there giving joy, also. Yeah. But in a very real sense, it's like this idea that joy can generally be the very strength you need to move through life. So it's not something to be trivialized that you're not happy or not happy, you're not laughing or not laughing. No, it can be the very thing that you lean on to move you and to propel you forward in a very real sense. And also in a very hard way, like all the other things.
Like who even knows what joy is? Nobody knows.
I have a recommendation.
Say,
for
please.
People to go and watch an introduction to joy.
Oh, by Rob, our BFF.
Rob.
Yeah.
Our friend from America.
Yeah, it's just the introduction.
It's just an introduction. What does he say? What is his punchline?
If you want joy, lower
the bar.
He's about to lowering the bar.
Whatever that means.
Lower the bar. But he goes on to this. He runs us through the book of Ecclesiastes and just, eat life with a big spoon and all of that. Enjoy the moment and go watch an introduction.
It's beautiful.
Attached to the link, especially if you're watching on YouTube.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, that's. I think the thing he says as well is that like life is here today and it's gone. It's gone. So while you're here, while the mist is still in the air, that's the gift. That's the gift. It's the gift of your life. It's that then, for me, I think it's like if joy is the thing that is energizing and it's the base note and it's the thing, it's like joy gets to be the way that you live your life. And the posture that you take with that is this life, it's given to me only for now. Only for now. So what would I do with it? What would I do with it? And then I think my final thought about that was that what I was understanding was that one of the things that joy does is validates our human experience. Like joy has a real role in giving us validation. If it's that. If I'm a truly joyful person, I'm able to experience my pains and experience my joys, my highs and lows in equal measure. It means then that joy is here to validate my experience, my real human experience, and I never have to run away from it. So maybe joy is also creating more authenticity in our communities. Maybe joy is also, referring back to our community episode, is also the thing that can energize us to show up to other people because we already feel validated in our own experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like just like a slight still challenge is like even as we are talking, right? Like you get to pick that, right? Like even how joy is enmeshed with our languages, even like what you are saying, like in my pains and in my joys. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's how language has enmeshed. You know what I mean? So part of the reimagining joy involves reclaiming it from all the ways that it's been reduced and tagged and bookmarked in certain ways of expressing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's coming up with new words of that. It's a way of saying the sacredness of joy, yes, but also it's a way of saying that this thing is bigger than all the small fascinating ways, you know. Yeah, like that thing. Whoever said that the language matters, and maybe our biggest struggle is also because our language doesn't allow joy to flourish. You know what I mean? It's limited and it's limiting. Such a happy note.
Are we
joyous?
Are we joyous? I mean, we started on a joyous note, but it got dark, and now we are back.
We back.
This was a light episode.
This was a light episode. This is us being less intense.
Some people capable of being light. We need more joy in our lives.
we do have this. And now we'll end on that note with a blessing, as is the culture on this podcast. And I get to give my first blessing.
Such a joyous
moment. Such a moment. Friends, it might not be like. Friends, if you should find laughter on this little beautiful, messy life of yours, please laugh. And if you should encounter sorrow, I'm almost certain that you will. May you have the courage that it takes to enter into it. Because ironically, that is the stuff that joy is made of. I pray that you encounter within yourself a joy that makes room for your happiness and your sorrows, your winnings and your losses, your seasons of abundance and your seasons of praying for provision. May the joy you have within you be not only a source of sustenance, but also a way of moving through life with lightheartedness. May this joy cause you to share your gifts with others ever so generously, and may it be the confidence that you need to try new things even though you fail. Joy comes to you as a gift, and I pray that today and every day you welcome it, you make room for it, and you allow it to transform you. Grace and peace.
When did the people of God become God?
Yeah.
In a very real sense.
Yeah, it's like now we are God, genuinely, because it's like it's almost like we live with this anxiety of, oh my God, if anyone sees the church as anything less than perfect, then God becomes not God anymore.
Yes.
Like now God is
also affected